Morning to all of you. Today we are our next topic about weed management is herbicides, their classification, their formulation, what are the different methods of applying these herbicides, and how what are the advantages and disadvantages of herbicides. So herbicide is a word, or I can say uh, it is a term which is used to kill the herbs mainly. Okay, but mostly we are killing the weeds through herbicides. So here is you see that side, the word which contains side like pesticide, insecticide, herbicide, weedicides. So what does this side mean? It means to kill. Okay, to kill means to kill the herbs present in our soil or in any land area. Okay. What are the learning objectives of this lecture? What you have learned from this lecture? You have to know about what is herbicide and what is the nomenclature of herbicides, means how you name the herbicides, then classifications of herbicides, then how the herbicide are formulated, how they are manufactured, on which basis they are manufactured, and then the methods of application of herbicides. Then different herbicide levels you also know in this lecture. Then what are the advantages, or I can say the disadvantages of herbicides. Okay, so this is all about this lecture. These all things you have to learn in this slide. Then what are herbicides? So I already tell you about side means to kill. Herb means that plants which are shorter in length, means I can say that should be from less than 1 meter, or they can be ranges. The height should be ranges from 2 to 3 meter. Sorry, to 20 to 50 centimeters and more than that, but less than 1 meter. So that all are come under herbicides. So the herbs, sorry, then herbicides are those chemicals which are applied in our main field to destroy the plants. Okay, and the it is a chemical. Another definition is it is a chemical used to kill some targeted plants. Means if we want to kill weeds, not the crops, so we are just using herbicides. But based on their, I can say, different classification, herbicides are differ one by one. Okay, then Uh, what is another definition is the chemicals which are used for killing the weeds or inhibiting the growth of weeds are called as herbicides or weedicides. Then next is what is the nomenclature of herbicides. So basically, if I talk about the what is nomenclature, nomenclature means naming of any it is a plant material or animal, that is nomenclature that you have studied binomial nomenclature. So binomial nomenclature is that nomenclature in which you are dividing any plant, any living organism into different things like the genus and the species, either it is a plant or animal or any living organism. So for herbicide, the nomenclature is to be known by three terms we are using it. The, or I can say, the herbicide is approved if it has three names like common name, chemical name, and trade name. So the common name should be that name which is I can say which is accepted all over the world, and the example is MCPA. So MCPA is the common name, or I can say you heard about a topic leader. So these are some common names of herbicides. Okay, if I talk about the chemical name, so it is read out with its molecular structure. Okay, so molecular structure, like for the chemical name of MCPA is 2-methyl-4-chlorophenoxyacetic acid. That is the chemical name of MCPA. Then if I talk about the trade name, so trade name of herbicide on the other hand refers to the formulation or offered by the chemical companies. Like Machate is the trade name of Butachlor. Okay, so Butachlor is the chemical name, but the trade name is Machate. Okay, so this is all about the nomenclature of herbicide. Then classification of herbicides. There are number of classification of herbicide based on different characteristics. Like first is the based on method of application. Means if you are having an herbicide, how you can apply that herbicide. So that is divided into two parts, like, or I can say two types. That is, first is soil applied herbicide and foliage applied herbicide. So soil applied herbicides, what are these? We can apply through underground. We apply these kind of herbicide underground, or I can say around the roots of the plant. So that are soil applied herbicide. Example is fluchloride. Then foliage applied herbicide means that which contains the aerial part of the plant. Okay, either it is its leaf, its fruits, or its seeds. So that are foliage part, the vegetative part that is above the ground surface, that is foliage applied herbicide. So example is glyphosate and paraquat. Then if I talk about based on mode of action, means how they can react on a particular plant, how they can affect the vegetation. So based on that, they are divided into two types. One is selective and another is non-selective herbicides. So the selective herbicides are those herbicides which are mixed, or I can say they are in a quite in that form in which they are killing only that particular plant species. They haven't killed any kind of I can say whole vegetation. They are killing just the specific species of that particular plant or that particular weed. Suppose if the example is cyanodon dactylon, if I want to kill that only that weed, so I have to apply atrazine. So what does it mean? That it only kill the cyanodon dactylon weed. It doesn't affect any other crop or any other plant. Then I will talk about the non-selective herbicides. So they can destroy the whole vegetation. Non-selective means they can kill the all the plants present in that land area. Suppose you have a barren land. Okay, you have a barren land and there is a lots of weeds grown there. So we have to apply these non-selective herbicides so that all the vegetation of weeds or harmful plants should be killed through non-selective herbicides. And the example is paraquat. Okay. Then if I talk about based on mobility, so based on mobility means movement of that herbicide. If either we are applying on soil surface on or on other foliage, so how they can move, how they can kill the that particular weed or that particular plant which is harming our crop. So they are divided into two types. One is contact herbicide, another is translocated herbicide. So the contact herbicide is that herbicide which kills I can say the particular plant part. If I want to kill the flowering or leaves, so I can apply contact herbicide because it kill only that particular plant part. So example is paraquat. Sometimes we are using the translocated herbicides, so they are tend to move into the plant part. Like they can move, they can be taken by the plant through xylem and phloem. Okay, there's I can say physiological character. Okay, so they can because the that plant or weed can know that this is a herbicide which kill us. Okay, they take the this herbicide with water, and that herbicide which move through xylem and phloem and kill whole the plant part, because all the translocation processes, all the physiological processes get stopped out when they are taking these herbicides through xylem and phloem, because xylem and phloem are the main, I can say, main part. Okay, which further helps to translocate all the nutrient to the different parts of the plant. So what happened through translocated herbicides, the inward processes or the metabolic activities get stopped down and the plant died. So the example is glyphosate. Next is based on time of application. That is the most important, I can say. You should be know deeply about it. Based on time of application. So based on time of application, they are divided into three. One is pre-plant, then pre-emergence, then post-emergence. So what is pre-plant application? In this application, what we are doing, we are applying these kind of herbicides before the sowing of our crop. Okay, so mostly we done pre-plant application, either it is with the foliar as well as soil application. Okay, and the example is flucloral, means what, when we applied it into the soil, we are incorporate before sowing of the groundnut crop. And if we are talking about the foliage applied, we can take glyphosates. So it kill mainly the Cynodon rotundus, Cyprus rotundus or Cynodon dactylon before the planting of any crop. Okay, I will annotate this. Suppose this is my soil area, land area. Okay, so before sowing of the crop, what I am doing, I am just placing my herbicide here, either it is soil or foliage. And then what I have to done, I have incorporate it with a cultivator or during the plowing purpose. Okay, when I am doing plowing, I also incorporate the herbicide into the soil, that is PPI, that is pre-plant application or pre-plant incorporation. Okay, then if I talk about the if I talk about pre-emergence, means we are applying herbicide at that time when the crop get emerged or the weeds are start emerging. So there is two difference. Two difference. What is difference between emergence and germination? So if I talk about germination, so what is germination? Like suppose this is my land area. I sow my crop 3 to 4 meters deep depending upon the depth of that particular crop. Okay. So if I sow my seeds here, okay, then what happened? What is the difference between emergent and germination? Suppose it takes 1 week. Okay. So they are start germinating. They are underground, but they are germinated. But when they come out of the soil surface, that term is emergence. So both are different, germination and emergence. Emergence is that thing in which the plant part is coming out of the soil surface. But if we talk about that germination, so germination take place within 7 days, and after 7 days it can come out. But within the 7 days, the germination is already started. Okay, so this is about, I can say, the germination and emergence process. Okay, then pre-emergence in case of annual crops, application is done after the sowing of the crop, but before the emergence of the weeds, it is referred to as pre-emergence. Okay, in case of perennial crops, it can be said as pre-emergence to weeds. If suppose I am sowing an annual crop, okay, and after sowing of the crop, some weeds emerged, so that come under pre-emergence to crop. Okay, then if there are perennial crops, I am sowing perennial crops like sugarcane, so it is known as pre-emergence to weeds when that weeds come out. So for example, the soil application by spraying of atrazine, and on third DAT. What is DAT? That is days after transplanting. Okay, so third day of or after transplanting the sugarcane, we are applying atrazine. So there, it is known as pre-emergence to cane crop. While if I am doing soil application by spraying the same after the rain to control the new flush of the weeds, that come under pre-emergence to weed. So you have just know what is pre-emergence. Okay, so the example is pendimethalin, butachlor, thienobencan, preticalor. Okay. Then post emergence, what is post? Post means after. So we are applying herbicide after the emergence of our crops and weeds. Okay, when they are fully grown, we are applying post emergence. Suppose you are sown wheat crop. So if you sown the wheat crop, And after few days, after 30 days or after 45 days of sowing, what you have seen that weeds are growing at very faster rate, that flyris minor are going at very faster rate. So you are applying some kind of herbicides there, so that come under post emergence, when the crop and the weeds are fully, I can, developed at developed stage. So we are applying post emergent herbicides. Then for example is spraying of 2,4-D sodium salt to control the parasitic weeds. These are those weeds, the parasitic weeds, which complete their partial or full life cycle on another crop or on another plant. So the parasitic weed, the example is trigga in sugarcane. So we are using 2,4-D as a post-emergence herbicide. And while spraying of a paraquat, so after 10 to 15 days after planting of potato, we are using paraquat for controlling the emerged weeds. So the example is glyphosate, paraquat, 2,4-D. Okay, then the last one is early post emergence. So in this, what we are doing, this is used for slow growing crops like potato, sugarcane, because they require, I can say, they are kind of annual, perennial crops. Okay, like sugarcane, more than 2 seasons we are cutting it down. Okay, 1 year crop. So what we are doing, we are just giving an early post-emergence herbicide application to these kind of crops. Then based on molecular structures. So based on molecular structure, there are several number of I can say herbicides. So basically they are divided into two. One is inorganic compound and second is organic compound. So you all know that inorganic compounds are those which contain no carbon. So similarly, there is no carbon actions should be there in these kinds of herbicides. And these were the first chemicals which are used for weed controlling. So mostly they are acid salts. Okay, in acid the example is arsenic acid or arsenic dioxide, sulfuric acid. In salt the example is borax, copper sulfate, ammonium sulfate, and sodium chlorate, sodium arsenite. Okay, so these are inorganic. But if we talk about the organic compounds which contain carbon as well as hydrogen in their molecules, they are, I am just showing the three, but they are many in number. They are about 15 to 20 in number. So I'm just giving you the basics, like soil, in oils, they contains oils, aliphatics, amides. Okay, so oils are diesel oil. We are using diesel oil for controlling herbicides. In aliphatic we are using acrolein, glyphosate. In amide form we are using propanil, butachlor, alachlor. So these are some kind of examples of molecular structures. Then based on residual effect, residual means if we are applying herbicides, so they should be remain in soil. If we are apply, suppose if I apply any kind of herbicide 1 month ago, okay, but its residue remain in the soil, so I don't want to apply furthermore the herbicides. So based on that residual effect, they should be short, medium, and very long persistent. The short persistent herbicide like paraquat, diquat, they remain in the soil up to a week. If I talk about medium persistent herbicide, they remain in the soil for 2 to 6 weeks. Example is the thiocarb. Then if I talk about very long persistent herbicides, they remain in the soil for even for years or months. The example is Fenex, Boron, Silvex, Fenuron, and Prometron. So these are the residual effects based on the residual effects. Then the topic is herbicide formulation. So the herbicides are, I can say, they should be in every, we are found them in every state: solid, liquid, volatile, non-volatile, soluble or insoluble. We can avail them in any natural state. Then hence they have to be in a I can say proper form, so that we can use them properly, and we should be safe from these, because these chemicals also harm humans. So what manufacturer thinks, we have to we have to prepare these kind of herbicides in a proper manner, and we have active ingredient in them, like solvents, surfactants, inert carriers, stickers, stabilizers, so that they can't harm us. because we are mostly doing this through manually, or I can say through sprayers, but we need this chemical to be safe to us. We need some precaution while applying these herbicides. So the main objectives of herbicide formulation is that they are easy to apply. Suppose if I told you that there is a liquid, I give you a liquid herbicide and I said to you that apply that liquid herbicide manually. So you can't apply that liquid herbicide manually with your hands. So such kind of formulations are coming for easy handling and high control activity on the targeted plants. Okay. Then if I talk about why there is a need for preparing this herbicide formulation, first you have to make that product which have some physical properties, which have the situations or condition. If they are applied, they can kill that particular plant species. Okay. And it should be used on wide varieties of the weeds. Okay, that on that point of view we are preparing herbicide formulations. Second is to prepare a product which is effective and economically feasible to use, means we can use them um, properly. And second thing, they should be cheaper, and they should be suitable for our local conditions. The fertilizer should be made in that condition which we can say they are all rounders, means they can be safe for in winter season, they should be safe in summer season, they should be safe, or I can say it should be applied in any kind of season. So we have to make that product which is easy to store. You know that some chemical fertilizer, as we are doing soil analysis, so some become hard. So for herbicide formulation, that is a bad thing. So we need a proper storage, and we have to make that product which is quite be stored in any kind of climatic condition or local conditions. Then if I talk about the types of formulation, so there are four: emulsifiable, wettable, and granules, and water soluble. The word already denoting that what they are, what they meaning. Emulsifiable means we have to make a emulsion. So emulsion always be made through solvent and adjuvants. Okay, so that they can be mixed in water and then they should be applied in the field. Okay, the example is butachlor. Wettable powder means we are using some kind of inert carrier, and we are using a surface acting agents. If we are mixing it in our soil, they can be easily dissolved or make a suspension. It make a thick suspension like atrazine. So granule forms are in the form of granules. We are using an inert material. The carrier which is killing that particular weed is not known as carrier or inert material, which is in a granular form. And also we are using active ingredient. Okay, active ingredient means that ingredient which is harming the main crop, or sorry, harming the main weed, which is I can say reducing or um, decreasing our yield. Okay, so herbicide is mixed, that herbicide or that granular form herbicide is mixed with sand, clay, and vermiculite or plant parts like alacro granules, and then we are applying in our main field. Then water soluble concentrates, the example is paraquat. So these are those herbicide which can be easily dissolvable in the water. So these are water soluble concentrates. So example is paraquat. Then if I talk about the methods of application, so basically there is two types of methods of application. One is spraying and another is broadcasting. Because if we have granule form, so we can use our manual method. So depending upon the target size, the herbicides are classified into soil applied herbicide and foliage applied herbicide or foliar herbicides. So, soil application or soil applied herbicides are five in number. One is surface, then subsurface, then band placement, then fumigation, then herbigation. And on other side, there is a foliar applied herbicide that are through blanket spray, directed spray, protected spray, and spore treatment. I will explain one by one. If I talk about surface application, means what happened in these soil applied herbicides, we are done we are applying this herbicide uniformly on the soil surface. That's it. Either it is by spraying or broadcasting. Okay, so main disadvantage of these surface applied herbicides that they results in volatilization. So for decreasing that volatilization, we are incorporating them into the soil. So the example is fluclorarin, and it means that it left undisturbed under irrigated condition because moisture hold up that fluclorarin. But we need incorporation when there is a rain-fed condition, means there is a water scarcity problem or there is a less moisture in the soil, then we have to do incorporation. If I talk about subsurface application, so in this we are what we are doing, we are just incorporating these herbicides about 7 to 10 centimeter below the soil surface for controlling the perennial weeds, because they can remain in the soil near about 15 centimeter. Okay, and they should be dominant in nature or dormant. They should be at dormant condition in which they are unfavorable to grow, but they are present in the subsurface soil. So we are using carbamate herbicides to control Cyprus rotundus. As I tell you that there is a node present in the Cyprus rotundus. So when we plug that weed, the node remain in the soil because the length of that node should be ranges from 7 to 15 centimeter. We are plucking that plant, but the nodule remain in the soil. So what is happening? That weed is again regerminating. So for that, we are using carbamate herbicides. Then band application. So in band application, what we are doing, we are applying our fertilizers along the crop rows. Okay, we are making a band along the crop rows, and we are putting our, I can say, the herbicide along the crop rows. And later on, what is happening? The interrows are cultivated to remove the weeds. What we are doing, interculture operation are to be done. I will annotate this. Suppose this is my field. Okay, so on these are the rows on which my crop is growing out. Okay, so what I have done, I have make here a band. Okay, here, so that our crop is get saved. Okay, I am making the herbicide being, but their herbicide is protecting both the in between the row. Crop row is protected from these the application of herbicide through bands. Okay, so we are preparing it by like this. Okay, then fumigation, you all know that in fumigation we are using fumes. Okay, so we are using volatile chemicals which are in the form of gas, and they destroy the weed seeds. Okay, some of the fumigants are methyl bromide or methane. Okay, then herbigation, as you know, heard about fertigation, means we are using fertilizer with irrigation. So herbigation is we are using herbicides with irrigation. Okay, we can apply them through sprinkler systems or through surface irrigation systems. So in India, farmers are apply fluclorarin for chilies and tomatoes, or in western countries we are using EPTC with sprinkler irrigation water is very common in Lucerne. That should be followed in Lucerne. Then the foliar application of herbicides. So they are four in number. One is blanket spray. It is the uniform application of the herbicides onto the standing crops. Without knowing the location of that crop, we are just putting a layer on it. We are covering it like a blanket. Okay, so we are using highly selective herbicide for blanket spray like 2,4-ethyl ester for rice up to 3 weeks after transplanting. If I talk about directed spray, so it is the application of herbicides on weeds in between two of rows in which we are using if we are using herbicides on weeds, we are spraying them in between the crop rows. Okay, so that the weed, our main crop can't get affected through these weeds like Cyperus rotundus. For controlling them, we are using glyphosate. Okay. Then protected spray, it is a method in which we are using mostly non-selective herbicides by covering the crop by them. Okay, which are widely spaced. Okay, the example is glyphosate. Then spot treatment, you all know that it should be done in small areas having serious weed infestation. For killing them, we are using spot treatment. Okay, we are using herbicide glove. Okay, and then we are just putting our herbicide in on a spots. Okay, so that our weeds infestation is to be controlled, so that the spreading of these weeds should be controllable. Then there are different factors which influencing the methods of application of herbicides, like weed crop situation. What is the situation of weed crop? Sometimes we ignore, we are doing weeding if the weeds are less and the crop population is more, so we are just doing it manually weeding. But if the weed infestation is more than the crop population, so we have to use the herbicides. Then types of herbicides. So the methods, I can give an example to you that if I can say that I have a liquid fertilizer herbicide. If I told you to spray into so broadcast that liquid herbicide into your food, how you can broadcast that liquid herbicide? So the method of application depend upon the type of herbicide formulation, what kind of formulation it is. It is granular, it is powdered, it is emulsifiable, or it is water soluble. So according to that you can apply any kind of method for herbicides. Then mode of action and selectivity, what kind of weed is that? Okay, what is the mode of action? It should be killed by by applying contact herbicide, or it should be killed by systemic or translocated herbicide. It depend upon the which kind of plant is that. Okay, what kind of mode of action of that particular herbicide. Then the environmental factors, we can't apply herbicide when there is a so much windy in the air. So environmental factor, we can't apply them during the rainfall season. Okay, when there is a rainy season, or I can say the monsoon season, we can't apply herbicide during raining, because that fertilizer directly goes into the soil surface and cause leaching. We can't apply herbicides in too much I can say at the time 1 to 3 p.m. In between that time we can't apply any kind of herbicide, fertilizer, pesticide. We can't apply at that time, because at that time the sun rays are more intensive. So that's why we have to also know about the environmental factors. Then the cost and convenience of application. Nowadays we are just borrowing that chemical which is cheaper and convenient and easy to carry. We are following that kind of herbicide right now. So these are all about the factors influencing the methods of application. Now the next is what are the herbicide level information, how you can diverge these herbicides. So one is from commercial name. Second is active ingredient. It is that part of chemical which is directly responsible to kill the weeds. Okay, it can be expresses as in gram per liter or gram per kg or percentage. It is depend upon different manufacturing companies of herbicides. Then what kind of formulation of herbicide is there? It is WC. You always see then when you read any kind of package and practices of any kind of crop, you see that there that herbicide formulation. It should be, they said 25 gram WC, 25 gram ES. So these are the formulation of herbicide. Then what they have written, the uses, how to use it, then the instruction, then the antidote, and then toxicity level also mentioned. So toxicity levels is mentioned as below. I will give you the table here. So here you see there is a class. So herbicide are divided into 4 classes: that extremely hazardous, highly hazardous, moderately hazardous, and slightly hazardous. Has an identification symbol. If there is a red color, it means poison. You can't eat it, you can't spray it. If it is taken by the plants or taken by the animals, they results in death. Or if we inhale it, or sometimes if we take that hands on our mouths, we also become dead. Okay, so extremely hazardous, we can't follow that kind of herbicides. Then highly hazardous means 550 ranges, okay, 220 to 200. Then dermal toxicity also given, that are yellow in color, means they are poison, but they are not, I can say we can save ourselves or other plants from it. Then moderately hazards, that is blue in color, and they should be in danger. Okay, means in danger, keep the proper precaution for applying the herbicides. Then slightly hazardous, they are green in color, and the signal word is caution. Take any kind of herbicide and you can check it there, if there is a tag or symbol there, red color, yellow color, blue color. Mostly you have to focus on these things. Okay. Then at last we are talking about the advantages and limitation or disadvantages of herbicides. So there are many more herbicide advantages. You can give number of advantages of herbicides, like they kill unwanted plant, they can be safely where they can be applied in any kind of field, they can be applied for killing whole vegetation, they can be applied for killing particular species. So they are easy to use, they work fast, they can be removed quickly in the critical situation. If we are doing flooding, they can easily be removed. They are cheaper, and the time is required for applying herbicide is quite less than the manual weeding. Okay, so these are some advantages of herbicides. Now, if I talk about the disadvantages or limitations, so some herbicides are non-biodegradable, means they cannot be decomposed in the soil. They are non-biodegradable, and sometimes they may be harmful for longer period of time. And some herbicides are toxic in nature, and they have a long residual effect on crops. Some herbicides show residual effect on crops also, because they also get affected by these higher toxicity herbicides. Then they can be carried into stream or runoff, and some are carried through leach. Some herbicides are leached down, so which further results in pollution. Okay, because if it is going through runoff water, that water is directly going in the rivers or in the lakes, in the ponds. And you all know that there is number of vegetation and number of aquatic animals and plants are living, so that easily be dead. Okay, sometimes these fertilizer, if we inhale them, or sometimes any caution occur, so they cause illness also, like glyphosate cause eye and skin problem, and also affects our respiratory system. Last is if we are applying our herbicide in a particular area, and sometimes our animals goes there, they eat that plant which is on which we are applying herbicide. So what happened, we are eating same, the herbivores eat that plant, and then carnivores eat herbivores, so the toxicity chain is running from one level to the another level, so which further result in cancer problem, skin problem, respiratory problem. So this is all about the limitation of herbicides. And if you want to get the detail about this topic, so you can follow these hyperlinks, books, and papers also. So this is the references. And thank you all, this is all about today's lecture.